Hello, class. My name is Samia Solomon. Today I am presenting you with an opportunity to make a discovery with me. I invite you to join me in a hypothetical scenario where our clients are human trafficking victims. Please allow me to lay out a map for our discussion. First, I will introduce you to the population with a brief description. Second, we will discuss the psychological tests and assessments that are currently available for this population. Third, we will talk about what changes can be made to said measurements. Lastly, I will give you my predictions for the measurements to come for this population. Your participation is encouraged, and know that it is a safe place for you to share your ideas and wonderments. I only ask that you keep your comments brief. Before I jump into this topic, let me start by introducing you all to this special population. This part is important because it lets us know who we need to be finding measurements for. Human trafficking is not just a third world problem where we can just say that it does not happen close to home. It's a global issue. The International Labor Organization approximates that overall, there are 20.9 million victims. And guess what? Hundreds of them are in the United States. At a very basic level, victims can be women, children, and men. Victims are those who have been forced to perform labor or services or have been forced into commercial sex. Vulnerable individuals have the highest risk for being coerced into trafficking. They include runaways, homeless women and youth, abuse victims, those in poverty, and refugees. Here I will discuss a few measurements that are available in the U.S. for detection and assessment. Before we get started, it is important to point out that because human trafficking is such a covert issue, the research concerning measurements is sparse. Unfortunately and disappointingly, that means that measurement descriptions are difficult to locate. This is definitely something that should be challenged in the counseling field so that more research can be done. The Trafficking Victim Identification Tool. This is a tool also known as the Victim Assessment Tool or Out of the Shadows. It was developed as a questionnaire by the Vera Institute for Justice and published in 2014. This is a screening tool that identifies whether or not someone is a victim of human trafficking. There is a full form and a short form. Simage, the reviewer, notes that the short form can be used during the initial visit and the long form can be used once more rapport is established. Dolan Riley explains that the tool has validity and reliability and being able to differentiate trafficking victims from other crime victims. Furthermore, she claims that it can identify clients as either labor or sex traffic victims. The Human Trafficking Assessment for Runaways and Homeless Youth, and the Human Trafficking Assessment for Domestic Workers. These were developed by the National Human Trafficking Resource Center and published in 2011 and 2014 consecutively. These tools assess signs of concern for individuals who have been or are currently victims of trafficking. Child welfare service providers use the following tools to identify children who might be at risk for or are already involved in trafficking. It is mandatory that each child under the care of child welfare services must undergo the first measurement. Child welfare workers must continue to use this to monitor the child's risk as long as the child is in their caseload. The Rapid Indicator Tool. This is meant for quick screening. It allows a helping professional to identify whether or not a child is at risk or in need of comprehensive screening. If comprehensive screening is needed, then professionals follow up with the Child Sex Trafficking Indicator Tool. This must be used within 30 days following the first screening. This tool provides results that reveal whether there are low, medium, or high levels of indicators. If there is a medium to high level of indicators, then the child is considered a victim of trafficking, and the authorities must be called and contacted with a report immediately. Here's where we get to problem solve a bit. We've discussed a few tests and assessments and what they've set out to do for our clients. But now we can take it a step further and talk about improvements that would make them more effective tools. Take a few minutes to discuss with a partner what improvements you'd make. Here's what I came up with. These tools could benefit from more validity. It would be nice to find evidence that confirms how well they measure up to tools with related purposes. Also, I want to see evidence of test-retest reliability. The rapid indicator tool should be improved with more comprehensive material so that it can stand alone as an indicator. It might also be good to have alternate formats that cater to specific ages or genders. Since this is a tool that is also used on adolescents, I think that a self-administered questionnaire or multiple choice format should be available. This may help certain individuals feel more at ease about answering questions that relate to them. As it refers to genders, the Center for the Human Rights for Children at Loyola University Chicago claims that boys should be approached with different questions that relate to trafficking. They found that boys were not as open about their experiences as girls were. Therefore, I think more research is needed to determine which questions should be asked in order to get the most accurate answers. Please take a minute to hypothesize about the future of testing for this population. May I have 2 volunteers briefly state their thinking? Yes, sir. I think that there will be an increase in the amount of tests that are made available for detection of victimization. Yes, ma'am. To add to his thinking, I believe that there might be more tests that will detect some of the effects of victimization, like anxiety or cognitive impairment. Yeah. These are good predictions, and I agree that they are possibilities. I think the more test reviews will be produced and made accessible to the public. In addition, I believe that more assessments will be developed with score sheets. I think having the ability to record scores can point to a direct concern where if a certain set of scores is achieved, then the severity of a person's risk, experience, or resulting diagnosis can be revealed. Moving forward, I think that the issue of human trafficking gets little recognition among the masses. This is because there are so many that are oblivious to the signs of this victimization. While this is true, those who have witnessed its effects seem to be progressing toward more detection and assessment efforts with the goal of calling attention to the issue and developing enough resources to end it and support victims. The Vera Institute of Justice is one of the organizations making headway in this endeavor. Please heed that this is not just a project. My intention here is to call your attention to this deficit in awareness and measurement availability. I challenge you to do more than critique and hypothesize. Please consider how you might work to create more awareness or collaborate with colleagues to review or develop measurements. If you'd like more information about measurements for this population, here's a list of my references. Thank you for your time and participation.